Hello, hello. Today's topic, I'm quite excited to make this. Am I high? And the reason I'm making this because I actually had a YouTube viewer. I don't feel like they're a consistent viewer. They might have just seen one of my videos, and they were sort of, the comments sort of made this assumption that I'm high. And I mean, anyone that knows me nowadays would know my response would probably be, well, it kind of depends on the perspective, right, and which one resides in. And I want to be really transparent. And I'm kind of excited to make this because it's kind of like, yeah, obviously with that question, I've been able to sort of go supposedly outside of myself and try and see myself from these different aspects of society. And like, yeah, maybe I do give off this kind of persona or this way of being that people perceive through their own sort of experiences. And it's not always necessarily true in the sense. So like, I never drink coffee. I've been sober from alcohol for like over 7 years. I haven't had recreational or pharmaceutical drugs in quite a while. But yeah, I do love a bit of cacao. I do like having a chamomile tea. You know, so I guess those things could be considered drugs. But I guess from my own personal experience, I don't consider those things to be rather detrimental, especially if they're not taken very frequently, especially if they're taken with, say, certain intentions, sometimes even ceremony. There's no sort of side effects from these substances. And if it is, you know, something like cacao, if you have a lot of it and you haven't drunk water beforehand, can make you a little bit dehydrated. So yeah, I guess there is a side effect to that, but I wouldn't necessarily consider it like a life-threatening sort of side effect. Anyway, and so yeah, I do some event management for outdoor small lifestyle music festivals, and those are sort of really the only times where like substances, especially recreational substances, will ever sort of come in to my field as being offered. You know, I don't go to bars, I don't go to restaurants. If I go to a restaurant, I'll call up, ask for them to make the food, and I'll come pick it up and take it to a park or back to my house. You know, I don't go to the cinema. I don't really do a lot of these sort of city things, even though I do reside in a city. That's a video for another day. So yeah, the festival environment is really the only times people are like, oh, do you want this, do you want that? And my answer is usually no, because I already feel high. There's so many other people already on things. Plus, you're in an environment where you're not actually in that sort of density of a suburban city environment. You're in an outdoor space. There's a lot more freedoms of expression in all sorts of forms. That in itself creates a sort of vibrational sort of pattern. And so it's just not necessary. Like, you know, and I guess the reason I feel high a lot of the time is because, yeah, I am sensitive to environments. I do various internal practices like Reiki, and, you know, I do sound journeys, but I also reside in an environment where I'm in an office, in the legal industry. And me, I guess, comparing myself to some of my friends, I am probably considered even more grounded than them because of the different practices and realities in which they reside in. And with that question of, you know, am I high? Even though I consider myself normally more grounded than most of my friends that I interact with on a more regular basis today, made me also realize that, yeah, if I was to put myself in like going to a pub or maybe interacting with these different expressions of society, this sort of modern white Australian society, that, yeah, maybe I wouldn't be considered grounded. Of course. Like, of course people are going to have that perspective. Of course, because these people might not be doing these sort of internal practices, may not be sensitive to these certain environments. And yeah, anyway, back to the, like, why would I want to even take drugs? Like, why would I want to give myself, why would I want to give away my power to something supposedly external to myself, to play in a fourth dimensional reality, when my intention is to actually bring and integrate higher vibrations, higher dimensions of 5D and beyond into the 3D. So why would I only want to dibble dabble in the fourth dimension? It even logically doesn't make sense to me. And I guess this is kind of modern sort of belief system about one can only really get high if they take some supposed external substance. They haven't often been able to experience different sort of emotions and vibrations and energies, which are all pretty much the same thing, those three things I just said. Anyway, then they haven't been able to do that through their own sort of internal practices. Yeah, and that's okay, no judgment. We're not all here to do the same thing, that's for sure. And, I've been experiencing, I guess, a vibration that people might call as anxiety within sort of the last 18 months. And a lot of that is actually what I've been seeing is due to my own worries and stories about being called crazy, being seen as someone who's high. However, the more I've just accepted that this is just my vibrational frequency in this moment, and protecting that sort of energy as that sort of beautiful thing that it can be, of just sort of trying to uplift the energy and the environment in which my body resides in. The less that the anxiety is sort of showing up, or it's only been there for, I guess you would call a shorter amount of time. And so that's been a really interesting experience as well. And I guess one last thing I kind of want to remind you is there's no need for drugs when one is accepting of their own power. Let me just repeat that. There's no need for drugs when one is accepting of their own power. Also want to say, I understand the realms of substance and addiction. However, I don't think this is something that needs to be unpacked within this vlog. So there's a whole other aspect to drugs that obviously is going into the realm of addiction that I myself understand, and I've understand through various perspectives in my own experience and experiences of those around me. So yeah, that's a whole other vibrational world that should be unpacked in another vlog. So yeah, am I high? Once again, depends on the perspective you reside in. I'm not taking anything external to myself to be the way that I am, but I guess maybe my vibrational, my energy, my emotion, once again, all three of those things basically mean the same thing, is maybe higher. We all kind of have our own little energy signatures in different moments in time. And if one is residing in an energy signature over here, not that anything's really separate, but just to kind of get this concept in your mind or in your field. So if someone's over here and someone has a vibrational signature that's over here, they're not necessarily going to connect or be perceived in the same way from both of those points. It's another good way to, I guess, put it. Yeah, if you've got anything to share about drugs or feeling high on life, welcome to leave that in the comment section down below, and I look forward to seeing you soon.